And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I'll alert the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey Nation, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Well, welcome to another Sunday edition of the show. We've been doing a lot more of these, and it's honestly because the backlog is so fucked that I need to get some of this shit out. And yeah, it is what it is. It happens. But we have a great episode for you today. Chris Gendron is here. He's a local guy to the New England scene. Great shit, great stuff, good dude. It was kind of prompted because we were doing a lot of episodes like in a row where we talking about mental health and all that, and like that's still super important and it still needs to be discussed and all that. And like I was talking about it a lot because that's where I was, and in the last few weeks I've been in a better place mentally, with all the stupid shit I've been going through. But I saw this reel today while I'm recording this, but Saturday, that it was about somebody who had taken their life and all that stuff, and it was a guy, and we don't talk about men's mental health nearly enough, and I know I'm on a soapbox here, so bear with me. But the person that was commenting on it said that it's not a warning sign when they're still alive. And that hit home pretty hard. So I wanted to put out another episode where we talk about these things and how important it is to talk about it. And this is what this episode is. Part of this episode is that. So I want to thank Chris for, indulging and doing that with me. And, Tuesday, I promise you, we'll have a much more upbeat episode with Edmund McCain. But yeah, so today, this is like, something I needed to get out. So, so thank you for being here and listening and all that. But Chris Gendron has great tunes out. He's playing all over New England. He's a good kid, great shit going on. So check him out. And that's it. Enjoy the show. We'll check you on the way out. See you. Setting and
yep, I have this little dinky one, but we'll see if it works.
It's one of those things where we are the most unprofessional professional podcast in the entire world.
Perfect. See, that's why I thought we'd fit.
I'm actually, I was thinking about this. This is not the first gay comment I make today, but I was in the shower thinking about you, and I was like, this kid's got, balls, and I like that.
No, you know what, man? I don't know if we're rolling live right now or not.
We are, and I don't give a fuck. So this is how we do it.
All right, cool. So, look, man, I was born missing all the fingers on my left hand. And,
I'm sorry, what? Well, hold on. What?
Yeah. You didn't notice that in any of the videos?
No, dude, I'm fucking retarded. So
I'm missing all the fingers on my left hand.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so my dad played guitar. I grew up in a wicked musical family. And from being born and raised in New Hampshire, you heard Wicked. And so, it's I didn't know. So I drive, I know how to drive a standard vehicle. I used to drag race my car and stuff with my buddies. I shoot guns, and I play guitar in front of a kick-ass country band. So,
damn.
I don't no, I really don't. And it's like, oh, okay. And especially if you ask someone something, like my buddy made a comment that I couldn't play golf because I had one hand. And I was like, Okay. All right. So I went and bought a used pair of golf clubs off Facebook Marketplace and figured out that if I use one of those reusable gear tie things and I put that around my wrist so I don't throw the club down the driving range or down the hole, you know what I mean, down
Yeah.
the fairway. But now I play golf, as often as I can with my one of my best friends. Um, and yeah, I don't like no. So it's one of those things where I was like,
Dude.
I'm used to. I'm a firm believer in you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So it's you just got to give it a shot, and see what happens.
You know what? I am now going to not bitch about anything in my life for the rest of my life. Actually,
Nah,
that's a
dude.
lie. I'm gonna bitch, but
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone does it, dude. Like it's not
holy shit.
yeah, dude. I can't get this thing working. We're gonna give up now.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, dude. That's me in a nutshell, man. My biggest thing is with the music. I I don't. I grew up going to shows, and I was a '90s kid, and I grew up. I mean, my first memory really of country music, besides like seeing my family do it, because they were doing it for years before I was even born. My great great grandparents played. So, um, but like my first memory is seeing Travis Tritt drive his Harley onto stage, and that's how he started the show and kicked the kickstand down and stepped off. His tech handed him his guitar, and it was 1, 2, 3, go. And I think I was like 4, and I was like, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like not that it's lacking in country music now, but
No, it is.
um, but it's coming back, and I'm
It
so
is.
happy for. I'm so happy. Like I can honestly tell you, we can get into my backstory, but to be honest with you, like country music for me isn't just country music. If you play it backwards, you get your dog back, you get your house back, you get your wife back. It's not it. Country music is an attitude. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what kind of country it is. In the '90s, man, like you can find a song for anything you wanted, whether it was Alan Jackson singing something, Travis Tritt and Marty Stewart doing Honky Tonkin's "What I Do Best." I mean, that's that's it. Like if you want to have a good time, come out and see my band, because
Dude.
I remember what it was like to go to a show and see someone mail it in. And when I started the band Unleaded, Chris Gendron and Unleaded and the boys are kick ass. They believe it and do the same thing I'm doing. But my belief is people are coming out, and usually if they're going to a bar for live music, and not lower level live music, but just city, go to a bar, go to your favorite honky tonk, your favorite espresso martini, whatever it is. But if you're going to see live music, you're not going there just to have them as background music. You're going there to listen. So I don't care if I'm playing an arena or I'm playing the smallest honky tonk in New England. You're going to get the same show, because if I can take your attention for 3 minutes or 3 hours and get you to leave all your drama, your bills, your work, all the BS that goes on in everyone's life. If I can take you for 3 minutes or 3 hours and you leave all that away, I did my job. And that's all I want to do every single night, man. So yeah, like
Dude.
the night that we were talking, I was at Nash Bar, and every single time I walk in there, and it's 110%, if that's even a thing. But like, you just gotta go. You
You
just
know,
gotta go and have fun.
and like that's what I was thinking about when, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. We're gonna get deep here, Chris. Are you ready for
Hell
this?
yeah, hell yeah.
I have imposter syndrome like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Same, bro.
Okay? Where like I am super proud of what I've done and what I've accomplished and what I've built, right?
Yeah,
But I also don't feel it, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Right? Where it's like I've been able to do and talk to some really fucking cool people,
yeah, dude.
right? And do some cool ass shit and things that without this podcast I would never have done. Ever.
Yeah,
But like, so like, I try to promote as much as I can, and like it's easy when you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, because it's like it's just a post, right?
depends on who you are, though, because that's my big imposter syndrome, which I relate to you on 100%. I literally have walked into situations. I'm like, I need an adult. I don't belong here. Like, what happened?
Exactly.
And
That's exactly it.
but
And
you
like,
don't give yourself credit for earning the fact that you're there for a reason.
right. So like when you messaged me that night, when you were like, "Hey, I saw your Jeep out,
Yeah,
out in front of Nash Bar or wherever the hell it was,"
yeah,
like I was almost uncomfortable. and not because of you, not because of the way it was approached, but it was just like, huh? Like it did its job, right? My tire cover did its job, but I also wanted to throw up.
Yeah. All right. So let me relate with you for a second. Um, last January, I decided to give it 100%. That's all I was gonna do is music. I jumped in a stupid contest, not stupid contest. I shouldn't say that. I in my mind when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's one of those stupid contests, and the entries were already done. And my band, my band that I'm also a part of, a different one, was playing at this location, Reds in Seabrook. They have a Seabrook Idol, and one of my bandmates made a phone call and was like, "Hey, if you show up, we don't have any spots, but if you show up, like, and someone doesn't come, like, you can jump in just on a word of mouth. Like, never heard me, never done anything." And I can tell you that every one of those people in that contest are fantastic, absolutely killers in their own rights and everything they do. And I sat there going like, "What am I doing?" Like,
Yeah,
I thought I was not the best, but like, okay, like, let's go in, see what's going on. And some of the coolest people I've met was from that experience.
yeah,
And then fast forward, from there, on a whim, I made it to the semifinals of the contest, and the three people that moved on to the end absolutely deserve it, 100%. They're all crushing it right now. But moving on to later on in the year, in that same aspect, I got a text message from someone going, "Hey, I saw your stuff online. Do you want to go out with me for 2 weeks and open for me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And Rob Benton gave me that opportunity. You know what I mean? He saw me
yeah,
on Instagram, and almost every night for the first week out of the 2 weeks I was there, I would go and sit by myself for a few seconds and be like, "What is this?" Like,
right.
you know what I mean? And you, it's tough, dude. It's so
It
tough.
is.
It's so tough to believe in yourself as often as you have to in any industry. But this is where media, you know, front and center type of thing. Like, and there's self doubts the
Yeah,
entire time, dude. So
yep.
it's real. It's some
And it,
people have you've spoken about this on your podcast with other artists. You know what I mean? Like, I've listened to the episodes. Like, it's to be. I'm having that difficulty right now releasing new music. Going like, I don't know, but like, they're kick-ass songs. They're kick-ass
right.
songs, and someone could connect with it. But you're not wrong, dude. Someone connects
Yeah,
with your podcast. That's why I reached out. You know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
like,
And that's the thing where it's like you think, I've had, trust me, you know, we have released 270 some odd episodes, right?
yep,
I think I've recorded, we're getting close to the 300 mark of actual recordings
yep,
as of you and I talking right now. And there's episodes where I'm like, that was brutal, you know, especially in like the early days, but
yep,
like I didn't know what the hell I still don't know what the hell I'm doing.
yeah,
I just would, this is what it is. And I put it out. Like it, great. Don't like it, I don't give a shit.
yeah,
Like, it's selfish, but a lot of this I do for me. This helps
yeah.
me get through my days.
Hell yeah,
you
hell
know?
yeah.
Um, and it's like, I can't tell you how many times in my brain and out loud I have quit this podcast. I can't tell you.
I can't tell you how many times I've driven to a gig on a Wednesday night, to know that I'm going to play for for maybe the bar staff, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not anyone's fault, but like, literally, that's why my thing always is just go support live music. I don't care if you're coming to see me. I would love it if you came and saw me, but
Yeah.
go out and support live music, because the harsh reality is that a lot of the people that are coming out now are either in my age group of the 30s, 28s to 35, maybe 40. And then in that 35 to 45, 50, you have the people that are parents that aren't able to go out. You know what I mean? And that's cool. But the people that are in their the 50s to 65, 70 that's going out and enjoying live music, when they were going out to see live music when they were in their 20s, people were musicians and made a living not because they were Johnny Cash or Merle, you know, like those are my killers, you know what I mean? Like that's where it starts, you know what I mean? And it was before that too with all the bluegrass, which I grew up on, you know what I mean? But you as a let me ask you this, how many musicians do you know and you talk to that can solidly say they're doing okay and surviving just playing music?
Dude, it's
Because you
very
used to
few.
be able to.
Yeah.
Because you used to be able to. And nothing's really changed from then to now in the pay, in the promotion. I mean, Garth Brooks when Friends in Low Places. No, was it? It wasn't Friends in Low Places. It was his first song. I forget which one it was, but it was in his documentary. He said he went back to his hometown and they played that number one song 4 times a set. You know what I mean? Like you can't get away with playing the same song 4 times in a set nowadays. Like you can't, and that's awesome. That's the difference. It makes it so people are challenged to make something good.
Yeah,
but you used to be able to make it on just nothing.
Right. Yeah, I see some of my friends that I know do this full time, and I'll see their Facebook stuff, I see their Instagram, I see all this stuff, and like they're grinding.
Yeah.
And like being in this position, right? And having friends and asking questions because I'm an asshole and I don't care. But like I also know what they make or what they don't make. You know what I mean?
Or how much they spent to get into that spot. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
I'm one of them. You know what I mean? This is all I do for work, and I'm super gracious. I'm being more targeted now that things are getting better and things are kind of getting bigger for me, which is super awesome. I'm grateful for every single person that comes out and sees me because it does mean more than a dollar or two in the tip jars coming up and being like, hey man, I saw your stuff and I came to check you out. Like
right.
Even if I didn't do great on a song, tell me something that you want to hear. You know what I mean? Tell me that you're there. You know what I mean? Throw a post up. Those types of things matter. But
they do.
The money, like I said, it's not about the money for me. It's never been about the money for me. But what I am saying is we all have friends in the industry that aren't in the industry. I mean, that have friends in the industry and they see us posting and they see us doing this stuff and they're like, oh man, like you must be rolling in it. It's like, no. No. They're like, well, you're playing a $3,000 guitar. It's like,
yeah, I sure fucking do.
Yeah, my PA system is the whole band shows up and they get paid $1,000, but they showed up with $20,000 worth of gear and 20,000 hours of practice time. It's like, okay, yep, nope, this was awesome, and it makes as soon as you strike that first chord and you kind of look out and you go, oh yeah, this is why I do it.
It's funny because it's like talking about that, right? This is like a double-edged sword with me because it's like I love country music, but I, doing a podcast, you kind of like also, I'm sure you do it, but like you could kind of compare yourself with the other, the killers of the podcast world, right?
Yeah, you're still living the same life,
right? And I was watching a clip of Joe Rogan the other day, and I'm a big Rogan guy. Big,
me too.
Always have been, always will be. I don't give a fuck.
From the beginning.
Yep, from the beginning. And somebody had asked him, like, how long was it until you started to, make money on this? And he said it wasn't until year 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then here I am, I'm like, all right, I'm going into year 4, so, and then even in year 4, we have a lot of I have a lot of things that I'm trying to work on and work out by the end of this year.
Yep.
So it's like, I guess year 5 would make fucking sense.
Yeah.
And like back to what you were saying, like, I have a ton of followers on Instagram, but I'll be honest, I don't give a shit. Those followers don't necessarily add up to listeners, right? That's
absolutely.
That's just how it works, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But they
hold on. This is my favorite one. Can we just pause right there for a second? Because you're 100% right. Because I've run into people that follow me, and my first single's out on Spotify, Apple Music, and it's literally in my bio, just like yours is. The link to the podcast is in the bio. And you're like, oh, hey, man, I follow you. You're like, oh, cool. Like, thanks for listening to the show. And they're like, or I'll go, hey, thanks for listening. Like, thanks for checking out my song. And they're like, I'm like, oh, so you have no idea what I do. Like, you just
Exactly.
follow me. And I appreciate it. Like
Yep.
the picture, follow the journey. But
Because
like, it's kind of funny sometimes.
Trust me, if I had 22.7 thousand people listen to listen to these episodes a week,
Yeah.
I would
Throw
shit
up.
directly into my pants.
Yeah.
I I don't know what I would do. I'll tell you this. I wouldn't be sitting in my fucking parents' house in their spare bedroom trying to not kill myself every day. I would have a life, you know?
Yeah.
Um Not to get too deep. We just got we
No,
just
no,
we
you're
just got
good, dude.
deep there for a second, Chris.
You're good, brother. You're good. No
but
worries.
but yeah, it's true. Like, I I probably stupidly, very stupidly, from the word go of this podcast, I've had the ego of like, this is what I'm going to eventually just do.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not
Well,
going
if
to
you
lie to
don't,
you.
you're never gonna get there.
Right. And you know what? I've talked about it on this podcast a million times. I'm sure people are sick of hearing about it, but like, it's also that mentality and that grind. I've lost a lot of things too. A lot of things that, if somebody were to ask me, would you do it again? The answer is absolutely fucking not. But I'm also in the middle of it now. And
Yeah.
at this point, being so into it, yeah, I've lost a lot. A lot of things I would literally give all of my appendages to get back. But my kids also see how hard I'm working.
Yeah.
So to give up now because it's hard,
Can't do it.
I don't believe in that regardless of anything. You don't give up because it's hard.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And
That's the
now I'm on my soapbox, but
yeah. No, it's
but I
the
mean that with everything. You don't give up because it's hard at work. And like I'm one of those, like, when it's hard at work, I give up. But like
yep.
I'm also learning from that. You don't give up in relationships because they're hard. You just don't fucking give up because it's hard. You just don't.
No, and the biggest thing is if you didn't start it, it didn't mean anything in the first place.
Right.
So it means something, and it's you can't take your foot off the gas pedal.
No.
And those are those things, we all go through. It's do I do this? Do I make that decision? It's like that with with music. All these guys that release stuff, they do the same thing that we do every day, going like, all right, like is this the path I want to go? I mean, Jason Aldean releasing, you know, a rap song. I'm sure that took a lot for him to go and okay, yeah, that's the way we're gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's everyone does something different and radical, and if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have modern medicine either. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So
It's true.
if everyone wants to believe that the path of least resistance is the way to go, then everyone's gonna go to the same spot, and we're not gonna have anything different.
So I don't know if you know who Matt Koziel is, right? But Matt
Don't
Matt is
don't
from
think so.
Jersey originally, and he lives in Nashville. And this dude is killing. He's gonna be. We've recorded an episode with him, and it'll be out before this one, so I don't mind talking about it. Um, but Matt has a song called "The Fire," and in the song, he talks about being in a like, I'm fucking up the words, but in essence, fighting and throwing a punch underwater, right? And like for me, that's how I feel with this and like my personal life every fucking day. So it's like the grind is hard.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you fucking I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I believe it, brother. No, it's the same, and one of the things that I'm trying to learn personally in that same aspect is like, I wanted to be different. I knew I was different. There's nothing I can do about it to change it. But the biggest thing I can do is change how I do things.
right.
So in that whole like throwing a punch underwater, I've thrown millions of punches underwater,
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of what I'm learning is like maybe it's okay to open your hand. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's okay to figure out a different way to do that. Like that may not be the way, and I've tried that 3 times, but isn't that the definition of insanity? Is like try the
Dude,
same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So,
yeah, man.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things I'm trying to do. And to be honest with you, like you saying about the imposter syndrome with me messaging you, like me messaging you wasn't what I normally do. You know what I mean? Like, but I've been trying things different and just asking, going like,
Yeah.
all right, like, hey, it could be a no, and I'm gonna get, I could get disappointed, or I could get sad, or I could go, okay. Instead of having 4 doors to choose from, I just realized one of those is closed. So
Yeah.
I guess I can look at these other 3 doors now and go, what are my options from there? But if you just look at 4 options and never make a decision, you're just looking at 4 options. And
Right.
the lack of a decision is still a decision.
Dude, how old are you?
34, but having cancer at 22
What
definitely
the
changed it.
fuck?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just
yeah.
you're just full of surprises.
Yeah, no, but you know what, man? I don't let it. I try to not let it define me. Like, that's the cool thing about where we're at is there's so many people doing so many different things. I mean, look at, Post Malone and Jelly Roll and country, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny, everyone like jumped on the Posty thing when they're like, oh, he's not country, blah blah blah. And listen, I'm the first one to say like, I'm not going to knock another artist, but I don't believe Taylor Swift should have been winning CMA awards when she's put out 2 pop albums. Like, and it's no knock on her, but
Yeah.
like,
I agree.
what are we doing? Like, that's
No, I agree.
Zach Top's not going to be winning, MTV, pop awards or whatever. Like,
Right.
it's just not going to happen. But and there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's got their space, and I'm not saying things can't transcend different lines. Absolutely. But with Post Malone, he wanted to do country before he released rap music. White Iverson was a joke. Do some research. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Jelly Roll literally lived in that area. Like, it
Right.
wasn't a non-factor to him. He grew up in in the gospel. Like,
Right.
guess what gospel is? Country.
Right. And I say it all the time and I get a lot of shit, and I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to
No,
download
you're
this
good.
thing that I need to get done. And my computer
Do
pissed me
you
off.
do the video, or is it just sound?
No, it's video. It's video, sound, the whole
Cool.
nine.
No, you're good. I just double checking.
Yeah, and for some reason, my computer's pissing me off. But anyway, I say it all the time. Like, that Post Malone album last year may have been one of the best country music albums of the year.
Yeah, it's
You know,
possible. I mean, the cool thing was it was his own version of a Hardy's Hicks tapes type of thing where he just had a bunch of killers come on and do it, which I thought was sick. I mean, let's be real. Hicks tape is one of the Volume 1 and Volume 2 from Hardy is one of the more underrated albums of their area when they came out. I forget what years they were, but I mean, you had killers on there. And the
yeah,
coolest thing about Hardy, in my opinion, is that he did that, and on some of the stuff he didn't even want to be on. He was just like, no, this is way too cool.
yeah,
Or he went, oh, this is really cool, I'm jumping on this. Like,
yeah,
you just I'm happy that in country music we are coming back to what we're supposed to be doing. And that's remembering what the attitude was from the 80s and the 90s. And
yeah.
that's honestly what I try to bring to every one of my shows.
And that's why I love the Red Dirt scene so much,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
it's raw, it's authentic,
Yeah.
it's kind of where I feel like the shift is going. I shit on country radio quite a bit, and I have a lot of friends in country radio, but like and I know they're not the ones that make the decisions, but it's
Yep.
like what are we doing? Like when we see somebody like Zach Bryan sell out Gillette Stadium for 2 nights. When was the last time you heard a Zach Bryan tune on the radio up here? Maybe Something in the Orange gets played every now and again.
Yeah.
Or
But so here's my thing. So in that aspect though, this is what is different about our world today than it was in the 90s. So you have people like, okay, Zach Bryan's not getting played on the radio, but neither is Zach Top.
right.
So here's my thing. Like, their outlet isn't the radio.
Right.
I'm sure they're getting played on Sirius XM because that's a different platform. But people
Yeah.
aren't going to the radio to hear everything anymore.
No.
Like it wasn't the variety, it was my station plays my brand.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I've, no pun intended, but if you look at that's the guitar that's been in every bar with me for the past 15 years. I mean, I was sneaking into bars telling them I was 21 because I had a beard and I was not 21 and should not have been playing, but I wanted to play. So, I'm that one. But I had, when I first started this, the first thing I got, I didn't get merch, I didn't get hoodies, I didn't do anything. I had my logo made up and I wanted a branding iron, and I had someone make a branding iron. So at some of my shows, if there's an outdoor fire pit, I definitely leave the branding iron in the fire pit. And at the end of the show, I try to sneakily brand the stage. So any venues, I apologize in advance, but you forewarned. But it's just one of my things. Like that guitar, when I retired it, its retirement was getting branded with my branding iron, and now it gets to sit in the home and get played. And now I have the Gibson J45 to be in the bars every night. But like that's how I do things. It's not just a me thing. It's a everyone involved thing, and the brand is what you're building. Every one of these people is building a brand, and that's the one thing that people don't understand about country music right now is you have the Billy Strings, you have the Zach Top, you have the Zach Bryan, you have the Morgan Wallenkamp, you have so many different ones, and they're all just building a different brand.
Right.
And it's okay to wear different brands. It's
Yeah.
okay. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like get out there and listen to some of the music that's out there, because there's some good stuff coming out, and
There
that's me
is.
playing, and I'm not even talking about my stuff. I mean, hell, go listen to my single. I have two more that are getting ready to go. I'm just waiting for some shoes to drop to figure out what's going on with recording. um, but I'd love for someone to come in and go, "Hey man, your songwriting's there, and we hear your vision." And it's taken that '90s attitude and that '90s, heartbreak, that '90s Friday night, like, and transcending it into today in a different world. But you could still do those things, like, you know, up here it's tough. We have the
Yeah.
people that are doing the fires, and we're having the people that, we still have farms, we still have blue collar, but it's just a little different up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I think one of the things that we as New Englanders in that like country or into country, we let define us is that we're not from up here, so we believe in all the stuff that goes on down there instead of embracing what we do up here. I
Dude.
mean, look at Aaron Lewis. Like, Aaron Lewis literally came back and was like, "No, I'm not from the South." And I mean, I have a song that it hasn't been released yet that's about being from the North, and I'm not. It doesn't. I don't want to just seem like I'm doing something that someone's already done. But if the Southern boys can write every song about being Texas pride, and hell yeah, man, I'm happy for you. But I'm not ashamed of where I came from either. So
Huh?
I'm gonna do it my way. But Aaron Lewis found a whole market up here that just went, hell yeah, brother, let's get this. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, that we're up here too. Just because we're not from the South, and it's not, doesn't mean we're any different. We're not.
You,
We're
I can I tell you a quick Aaron Lewis story?
hell yeah.
So I mean, you're not far off of my age, right?
Yeah.
And when I was middle school, early high school, like Stained was the band, right?
Yes, it was.
Right?
Same
And
thing with Godsmack. Like
right, right.
they, I,
And I have, I had my, you know, you've heard the story, I'm sure. Like I hated country music. Fucking hated it, right? And I was big in high school, I was in the metal and the heavy rock and classic rock and all that stuff. And um I remember when I first heard Aaron Lewis was doing a country album, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what a fucking dick. Like that's what I thought.
yep.
And it took my now ex-wife to and I'm not gonna lie to you, that hurts to say out loud. But
Sorry, brother.
no, it's fine. It's been a rough few days. So anyway,
Yeah.
whew, she was like, listen to these songs. And she was the one that got me into my love of country music.
Yeah.
And so I listen to songs like Massachusetts, and my brain is fogging and all that. But anyway, and it was like, damn, these are awesome songs, regardless of whether there's a slide guitar in it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so fast forward, I fell in love with all of his country music. Fast forward, I got an opportunity to be a guest of the tour for when he was here over at Indian Ranch, and got to meet him the whole 9 yards. And I had some people in the industry that were like, just be careful, because Aaron has a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, I have now had 2 pretty intimate encounters with Aaron Lewis, and he has been nothing but the nicest person in the world to me.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
that's just
Yeah. Well,
when
so same thing though. Like I was born in 1990. I grew up on country, but then when I hit 2000, country wasn't the same anymore. And I'm just being honest. And
Yep.
and I lean more towards the rock and the metal and all that stuff. But still listen to the stuff from the 90s and just kept I couldn't get enough of it. But then when I took a shift, I was like, someone out there, I can't be the only one that doesn't want to hear that sound, that screaming. I mean, like one of the most what's the right word? Noticeable or the recognizable guitar licks from the 90s. If someone played the intro to Trouble, most country people can go, ooh, because that piano and that guitar come in right away, and you're like, that's a feeling. Like
Yep.
that, boom, right there. That's a feeling. I mean, Joe Diffie, the intro to Pickup Man, like every country fan hears that intro and goes, mm. Like it's good and it puts you in a mood. It wasn't like that in the early 2000s to 2012, and that was the bro country stuff, and and not knocking Florida Georgia Line.
No,
They're
you can.
different.
You can.
They're
Fuck them.
different, but they're a different brand. You know what I mean? They're a different.
They're-
They're a different brand. I mean,
that's
Dan
what I
and
call
Shay.
brokeback country.
Yeah, but even still, like they've got some good songs. Like they've
They
got
do.
some good. They got some good. And here's the thing: I'm the first one to be like, ugh, gross, and I do that because it gets a rise out of some of my friends. So
Exactly.
like, but at the same time, like, listen, I'm the first one to say like, listen, you play that song in a party environment, it goes off like dynamite, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I mean,
matter.
it doesn't matter. I mean, Old Crow Medicine Show. I've played Wagon Wheel before Darius Rucker played Wagon Wheel and covered it. Now, listen, do
Chris,
you
only you
think
can
I?
stop Wagon Wheel, bud.
Okay, hold on. Do you think I get more requests for Wagon Wheel because of Darius Rucker or Old
Oh,
Crow Medicine Show?
yeah, Darius
Who?
Rucker, 100%.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I have to play it Darius's way.
That's
You know
true.
what I mean?
That is
So
true.
I've taken it every single time and I play it the way I like it, which is a mix between Darius and Old Crow. It's not
Nice.
so honky tonk, but it's not so clean and crisp and like part of the country vibe is we're making mistakes. It's dirty.
It's
That bend
gritty.
isn't perfect. It's gritty. It's got an
Mm-hmm.
attitude, and that's whether it's a good attitude, a bad attitude. I mean, every light in the house is on is going to give you a different feeling
Yeah.
than the intro to Friends in Low Places. Complete,
Sure.
but still country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's still
Yep.
country. Should have been a cowboy is going to be a different one than American Soldier.
Yeah.
Still country. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you can find a song and a vibe that knocks it out of the park in that mood or setting, I don't give a crap. It's a good song. I mean,
Dude.
that's not to say that there's really good songs that haven't made it and really bad songs that have. I mean,
Right.
but you know what? They did something, and
Well,
hats off to them.
it's kind of like it's kind of like Morgan's version of Cover Me Up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love his version of it. And I think I'm impartial to it because of how much I can't fucking stand Jason Isbell. But like Jason's version is obviously iconic too.
Yeah.
You know, but like,
okay, same thing. Hold on,
I'm listening.
we're gonna do this. We're gonna battle on the music stuff. I love throwing things back and forth. But okay, so you like Morgan Wallen's "Cover Me Up" more than Jason Isbell, but you have a thing against Jason Isbell, and that's cool. But
Yeah.
here's my question for you: are they different enough in your mind that is the reason? Like, because they're not the same.
No,
You know
they're
what I
not.
mean? Okay, but neither is Tennessee Whiskey.
No, all three versions of Tennessee Whiskey are completely different.
Right. And you're going to have people that are like, oh, Chris Stapleton's all day. I'm like, yeah, but if you didn't hear Chris Stapleton's first, because then you didn't know about George Jones, and you go listen to George Jones and you're 20, you're going to go, what the hell is that? Like,
right.
What is that? What is he doing with his voice? It sounds like someone's trying to kill him.
Right. And then you don't even realize that it's a David Allan Coe tune.
Right. Which is, I mean, but I'm a George Jones guy. I mean, listen, like, I can tell you that if you're a country fan and Matthew McConaughey is doing a movie and he needs to force himself to cry, if that boy doesn't put on the grand tour just to put a little, like, you know what I mean? Because that's what I've heard he's like. But like, there's those songs where it's like, like no one else could do it like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The video going and making rounds right now is Cody Johnson, which, boy, I'm so happy he's made it. I've been following him since the beginning of doing the rodeos down in Texas and doing some videos.
I am getting a Cody Johnson tattoo. That's like my next one.
Kojo Nation, baby. So, but that's one of the ones that I've looked at that went, no, he did it his way. He was true to him. He did it the right way and didn't, as far as I know, didn't screw anybody over on the way up. You know what I mean? And burn bridges. I don't think so either, but you hear stuff afterwards, and I'm not gonna say I know for sure, but from my position, he did it the right way and the way that my heroes and his heroes did it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a TikTok star, and no offense to the influencers and stuff like that, but the biggest thing is I love playing shows. If I'm playing to my iPad or my phone or my laptop and posting it online, that shows when you come and see me play live because I don't know how to handle it. Right. You know what I mean? I've seen so many concerts where openers were a social media sensation, and they get out there and they're playing to 500 or 5,000 people, and no stage presence. They're not having fun. Guess what? When Morgan Wallen was opening, Morgan Wallen was running around with his head chopped off. Garth Brooks was running around with his head chopped off. He puts on a show. You're not coming there just to listen to the music. Make sure the music's number one. Make sure the music's number one because that's what's going to get the people vibing and feeling right. But if you don't have a good show and you're not having fun and that's the biggest thing that translates. I've seen bands play and they're not having fun on stage and everyone else is just watching and kind of grind. But the ones I want to be at are the ones where they're having just as much fun doing what they love that I get to enjoy and watch them do what they love. Yeah. So we just played Wally's. We just played Saddle Up, and the full band just played Nash Bar as well in the past 3 months. We crushed it at every one of those locations, and people just kept saying afterwards, they're like, I just had fun. I'm like, good. Tell your friends. Tell your friends, you know what I mean? Like, and most of my posts are like, grab your boots, leave your BS at the door, and come grab a beer and have some fun, because that's what it's about. You know what I mean? And we're doing Neon Moon and Check Yes or No, but at the same time, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy comes on, and you watch the whole place get turned upside down. And it's not just because I'm singing the song, but I know my voice and the way I play is that gritty attitude. And, we play Nickelback's Rockstar. Why? Because it is.
Nickelback is the greatest band of all time. Okay.
They know how to have, like, and Chad wants to have a good time. That's it. Like, you look at the people that the true fans like, they like the ones that go, we're coming over here, we're going to have some fun. And that's it. One of the things that I try to remember when I'm playing is Eric Church said in a song, these scars on these knuckles match these scuffs on these cowboy boots. And it's like that every single night. I look down playing, I'm like, God, I bought this guitar 6 months ago, and it's like, it's already starting to get worn in. And it's like, oh yeah, it's because I've played 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week for the past 7 months with this guitar every night. Like, and it means something, you know what I mean? Like, I grabbed an electric for the first time and brought it out to Wally's, and my bandmate looked at me. He's like, "You good?" I was like, "Yeah, it just feels really weird, man. Like it just feels really weird because it's not home. You know what I
Right.
mean?" And that's what that guitar was, which is why it's got branded. Here, I'll grab it real quick.
Yeah. I love show and tell on the podcast.
Yeah. So when I went on tour this year too, I figured, so I branded it.
That's
I think it's
awesome.
probably, yeah. So while I was out on tour, I wanted tour ink because every artist ever dreams of getting, I wanted to try and do it on the bus, but that wasn't allowed. Um, so while on tour, I did get my logo tattooed. So we're together. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So there's that, but I did that partially because on my other arm for my sleeve, that's actually the 12th fret design on that guitar is that. So I had that done a while ago, and I was like, well, I have it on me. It's only fair if we get it back. So it's one of those things where it's like, as an artist and someone that spends a lot of time with artists, you, those are comfort. Those are home. Like I can't perform without having one of those in my hand. It just doesn't work. It
That's
just doesn't
awesome.
work.
Now, let me ask you, right?
Yeah.
Minus all of the, you know, the cancer, the birth stuff, all that shit. Like, forget all that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You've climbed those hills, right?
Yeah.
Where else does some of the writing influence come from?
God, dude, that's everything. I mean, Your Honor, the one that's out right now, Apple Music, Spotify, all the streaming stuff. Your Honor, I grew up in a smaller town outside of Manchester, and then went to Manchester schools, and you meet a whole bunch of different people, and being in the bars at a young age and being in the bars now, the one thing I see is it takes one wrong decision to change your life, and um, you know drinking and driving, that can do way more than just to yourself. You know what I mean? Most times you're not just hitting a tree or a pole or something, and it's just you. And even when it is just you and or that person in the accident, it affects everyone else around them. So
Yeah.
it's not just one of those things. So I watch that a lot. There's been many times, and I don't really drink, especially when I'm playing. But there's been more nights than I can count that I've walked up to a dude and a girl and been like, "Hey, why don't you go chill for a few? Like, why don't you go give your keys to the bartender? It's only 11. Hang out here for a few hours. Go grab a glass of water, sit down and chill out. No, I want to go home. I'm sure you do, but like, don't be stupid. Or you
Yeah.
got a car full of people. Like, I've watched, buddies and friends lose girlfriends and all sorts of stuff because the bottle was in the way. So, it
Oof.
wasn't personal for me. Like I didn't live it, but I watched all of that and kind of put it all together and done different things. And the line in the song is, don't be easy on me because I have a problem. She's gone, Your Honor. And that's because like that's the thing that taught that guy the lesson in the story. You know what I mean? That was the end of it. And every person has something that is that click point. They say with people with addiction, they say with people with gambling problems or whatever it is, everyone's rock bottom's different. And that's what I was trying to get across in that song is like, it doesn't have to be this extreme for someone to get it and click. You know what I mean? And if I can do that in my storytelling and my songwriting, if I can do that in my performance of going like, hey man, like I was born missing all the fingers on my left hand and I figured it out. I had cancer at 22 years old. You know what I mean? And I'm good. I beat it. Um, and you don't have to just be sufficient with the, no pun intended, the hand that life dealt you. You know what I mean? And I use that a lot. I jokingly say that to people, and they just kind of look at me, and I'm like, it's okay. You can laugh. It's funny. Like, I'm mean. I mess with people a lot with it, and it just makes me laugh. But in reality, that it's everything. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be something I lived. It's something I saw, something I felt. My phone is full of stuff. Driving to gigs by yourself, 5, 6 nights a week there and back. Um, you sacrifice a lot and a lot of things. You lose a lot of stuff because of the dream of being able to do it on a bigger level, to touch more people, to meet more people. Again, like when I was on tour, I my favorite thing was being like, wow, cool, like completely different demographic, yeah, but like we had fun, and for that 2.5, 3 hours with me opening, and then the headliner coming on, Rob, we took those people's bullshit and tucked it in a little locker on the outside of the building. It's invisible, no one can see it, but you tuck that stuff there. You walk in, you either grab a drink, maybe you popped an edible before you got there, and you walked in, and you just let it happen. And that's what happens at concerts, and that's why people love concerts. They're not going because they're seeing their favorite band. They're going because they want to see their favorite band. That's who they're spending their time to do, but they're going for an experience. They're going to let go, to recharge. I mean, you see people walking. I don't see many people walking into a concert with a frown. Just, you know what I mean? Like,
dude,
I see a lot of people walking into the dentist with a frown.
Right. There's times where I can't tell you, especially in the last year, where I've been in shows and seeing my favorite bands, and I mean, I wanted to ask you this because we talked about it, but like, you hear that song and it's like fucking waterworks, right?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
everybody has that song, right? Everybody has that song that you could be in the fucking best mood of the day, you could be in the shit, you could be middle of the road, but if you put on that song, regardless of how you feel, it's gonna make you cry.
Yeah, listen, I could be having the best day in the world. Like everything's lining up, everything's clicking. I'm not running late. I didn't forget my guitar on the way to a gig, which I've done before. Like everything's going great. And when I Call Your Name by Vince Gill comes on, it does not matter, which is what I was going to bring up with the Cody Johnson thing. That has been going around. And I remember watching him during COVID do those sets from the ranch, his buddy's ranch, his friend's ranch. He was doing those COVID sets, and he did Grand Tour, and then on another one he did When I Call Your Name by Vince Gill. And I literally was on my couch, had a great day. It was a Friday, got a raise in COVID. Like, I was living it up. I bought myself a 6-pack, and that song came on, and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone has that song. But everyone also has that song where you can be having a shit ass day and put that song on, and all of a sudden you're like, that's not that bad. Like, I'm a big reggae guy. Like, and I advertise that I'm a giant reggae guy. I love it.
Shit.
It's like, okay, so Saturday I didn't have a show for the first time, and I went and caught Roots of Creation doing Grateful Dub at Wally's. Like, because it's there's no one there having a bad time, and you listen to reggae, you put on like I'm a Fortunate Youth, Revolution, like those are my happy things, because you can't be driving on the road and hearing boom ba doom bop and not just, and all of a sudden you're like, what was I mad about? And it can be one song or it can be a whole album, it doesn't matter, but find that thing for you. Like, for me, it's country. Country can make me feel a million different ways, and there's songs that make me feel happy. But that doesn't mean I can't put on Wu-Tang on the way to a show where I need to where I need to push it, and I'm having imposter syndrome, and I walk in, I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the man. Like, here we are. Why? Because we all need that sometimes, and people don't use music for that enough. I don't feel like.
I agree. I remember when I started going through my shit, right?
Yep.
In early 2024, and a really dear friend of mine said, he goes, I know you love sad country music. And I was like, yep. And he goes, but you have to try to not listen to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do it. Like,
okay, so hold on. Here's my thing, and I completely agree with you, and I completely agree with your friend.
Yeah.
There's times where that's okay. Let yourself feel it, but don't let yourself only feel that. And that's a huge balance. Like, and it's something I've learned going through my own stuff. Like, it's okay to be pissed off and mad that I'm going in for surgery for cancer, when I'm 23 years old for the third time. Okay, yeah, but I could be dead. You know what I mean? Like, and the people who say like the glass is half full or the glass is half empty, like, why? Why do you have to put a percentage on it? Why can't you just go, I got a glass, I can fill it up? Like,
damn, dude.
Like, I'm just being honest though. Like, is that not the case? Like, and that's honestly what I'm trying to do with music, what I try to do with my own life. Like I just had a phone conversation with a great friend of mine earlier today, and asking a favor, but not asking a favor, just asking to be considered. Like I'm not asking to get it just because we're friends. It's not me. I want to earn it. Most of the people that I knew in the industry didn't even know I was playing while I was playing until I got in on my own accord, and they walked in and they're like, "Hey, you're here." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Wait." Like I didn't put two and two together. They're like, "Why didn't you just ask me?" I'm like, "Because I'm not. I don't. I want to earn it. I want to earn it because then it means more. You know what I mean to me and you when you go. It wasn't another friend looking for a hookup because of what I have for a job. Like, no, I didn't give a shit what you do for work. You're still my friend.
Right.
But guess what? When my band goes in there and I got it on my own accord, and then there's other bands that are getting an option, you already can go, listen, like, it's not because he's my friend. It's because he came in and killed it. Like, that's why we're going to give it to him. And
Right.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
But you can't let that stuff get to you. You got to find a balance to it. You have to find a balance.
Yeah.
And I'm the worst one to be. I am not nice to myself, dude. Not nice to myself
Dude,
at all.
I
But
fucking yeah.
but sometimes it's okay to be nice to yourself. Sometimes it's all right to go, no, it's I'm doing all right. I don't feel that way all the time. Fuck that. Like I'll be honest. But I'm trying to be better and learning that like it's okay to give myself a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that people aren't doing, and if they use music to get that across, you don't have to just hear it. Sometimes it is just feeling it. Like it is.
Damn.
It's
You know
it
what?
is.
This is why I do the show, because you young kids keep me young. Keep me hopeful.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm sending it all your way though, because like I said, I ain't doing it to myself all the time.
Jesus Christ.
But man, like all right. So music wise though, like with what we were talking about, Tennessee whiskey, three different versions of it, wagon wheel. Everyone's got their thing. Okay, but no one was bitching about Hardy and Post Malone and Morgan Wallen doing Pickup Man with Joe Diffie's cut up track.
It's true. That's true.
So again, they're building a brand, and that's something that Hardy did with Hicks tapes. That's something that Morgan's done with having people featured on his album, and Post Malone did with F1 Trillion. Like that's that brand. And guess what? There's people that are buying it, like you and me, because they're like, hell yeah, dude! Like it's like, why aren't country people playing each other's songs like they used to in the 60s and 70s and 80s? I mean, shit, Johnny Cash would write an amazing song, get to number one with it, and then Merle would go, hey, can I do that? And then he'd cut it. And then, Waylon would cut it, and then Willie would cut it, and Chris Christopher. Like, there was 19 versions of every one of those songs, and they're all slightly different and done that artist's way. Like,
Yeah.
why aren't we doing that again? Like, it's not like, oh, this is my song, it's a precious song. Like, we all grew up playing covers, assholes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, and let's be real, a lot of it is songwriters now in the game, just like it was before. How many people think that Morgan Wallen writes his music? And he does a lot of it. But when you scroll to the bottom of the Apple Music thing, look at the bottom where it says written by, and it's not just Morgan Wallen. There's 4 other people attached to it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I feel like that's the thing that we're lacking these days is like knowing those same people. I mean, on Instagram you can find your favorite artist. I mean, my favorite guitarist from the 90s is Brent Mason. I get to watch the videos he posts of him in the studio tracking almost every other day, and I sit there for 15 minutes in awe of the man. Why aren't we doing more of that? Why aren't
Yeah.
we giving those people the credit? Chris Stapleton was a songwriter before he was, Chris Stapleton.
Right.
Traveler, he said he had that written for 15 years before it came out. You know what I mean? Those are songs that other people passed on.
Right.
There's good music out there.
And that album may be one of the best country music albums in the last decade.
Oh, absolutely. 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 Okay.
I can't listen to it anymore for a lot of personal reasons, but it's still one of my favorites.
I can't listen to it because I burnt out the vinyl album I got, and then that broke. So I can do it on my phone, and trust me, all those songs land on my Spotify playlist or Apple Music playlist, and they're not ones that get skipped, but they're not ones I seek out. You know what I mean? I'm an obsessive person with music, like especially if I'm trying to learn a song. That like my CD players in my cars back in the day, in my trucks, like I swear they would just like actually burn the CD into the laser because they
Yeah.
were just played so damn often.
You know,
Um,
speaking of songs that have been covered, right? Like, you know, Whiskey and You,
mm-hmm.
Aaron's done a version.
Yep.
Stapleton has his, right?
Yep.
And you listen to them, they're both very different, right? But for me, I don't know what it is, but the Aaron version hits a lot harder than Stapleton's version.
Can I tell you why? And this is
Sure,
just my belief, and
absolutely.
I don't know for sure. Tuning and the key that someone does it in changes the song entirely.
Because his is lower, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
So I usually play in a half step down. Every one of my songs is a half step down. I use capos and stuff, obviously, but my guitar is tuned half step down, and I have two songs that are ready to go that I was tracking and trying to get scratch tracks done on. And every time I go back and listen to it, I'm like, I feel like I'm fucking reaching. And pardon my language, but like I literally would sit there with my hands in my head listening to it with headphones, and I'm like, what is wrong? What is wrong with everything is there. There's every single thing, and I can sing it when I'm cold and try to do it that way, see if I can hit those notes and they don't sound funny. I mean, I'm not hitting them wrong. They're just not coming out the way I hear it in my head. Like I had like more powerful or a little bit more faint or whatever I was trying to do with it. And I'm like, something's not right. And my lead guitarist in the band, my music confidant, I run to him with every little problem just because that I'm a giant baby when it comes to music where I'm like, I can't figure this out. And it's pissing me off. And he's like, just chill. I'm like, all right, cool. And I run back to the drawing board and I try it again. But this time he was like, why don't you try the tuning? Don't throw a capo on the fifth or sixth fret and don't keep trying to bring it higher when you're trying to get that deepness, that resonating sound that just kind of lingers there for a second. Why don't you try it a full step down instead of a half step? And Jim, I tell you, when I tuned it down for the first time and I strummed the chord and I was like, okay. And I went through the first verse and the chorus and I just like literally put the guitar back down and just kind of looked at it and was like, that was easy. Like I haven't sang in 4 or 5 hours. My voice is cold. I'm not warmed up. I'm not in the sweet spot. What the fuck? And it changes the song completely.
yeah,
Chris Stapleton wouldn't be able to do it in that same style as Aaron Lewis, but Aaron Lewis has that same grit, that same tone as Stapleton. It's just a different register, different key. And if you listen to all the Stain stuff, like you were a giant Stain fan and were pissed off that Aaron Lewis went and did country songs, not for nothing. And you probably figured this out, but if you take every single one of Stain songs and just changed it to a little Telecaster sound,
yeah.
every one of them's a country song.
It
Like
really is. It really
every one of
is.
them, and he
Every
admits that
single,
too.
you know, and it's funny you said that because it's like I've seen Aaron, you know, do his country stuff and then throw in a couple of Stain songs, and it's like they're actually better. You know,
What
they're
would Stain
better.
sound like if they played Telecasters? Like you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, listen, like I'm a giant Aaron Lewis fan for multiple reasons. You know, being from the area, you know what he was able to transcend from doing the rock to doing what he really loved, and he loves rock, but he's always been a country boy and he's always been a redneck, and that's him, and that's most of us up here in Northern Redneck is we're just having fun and waiting for our time to die. Like this is just
Yeah.
kind of how we are. We're like, listen, like I'm living my life, I'm happy, here we are, and I'm gonna make the most of it while I'm here. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I was one of those ones that was throwing my name in the ring to open for him when he's doing his stuff up here, because I feel like I'd fill a void um, for some of his fans that want more of a different style country than what he likes or than
Yeah.
what he does, but also fit in with the same style country. Like we're the same but different. Like, I want the energy. He's that let's chill. We're around the fire, we're on the back porch. Let's just chill. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's dude, that is so cool. I love how he does his shows. They're so intimate, whether it's, Bernie's or the Casino Ballroom or Indian Ranch. It doesn't matter. It's you know what you're getting, and that's because he's created that brand. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to do the same thing. Like, yeah, I could have some mellow stuff, but
Right.
If you want to have some fun and you want to dance, you want to boogie, you want to feel like this is, you know, Leonard Skinner on crack, then come out and have a good time. Like, and that's just it, man. Like, you look at Travis Tritt, dude, if Travis Tritt, Brooks and Dunn, and Arkansas by Chris Stapleton had a love child, like, that's all I want to be. Like, that's
Yeah.
it. That's all I want to be, is because it's an attitude. It's an attitude.
Yep.
You can listen to a Brooks and Dunn album, which, let's be real, I've mentioned them 9 times now. They are my number one. They always will be. You know, Kix Brooks and Ronnie Dunn are probably 2 of the best to ever do it at the game. They just were, brand wise, attitude, quality. They
Yep.
check every single box. I mean, live from Kane's Ballroom in Oklahoma is probably one of my favorite live performances, because it's a dive bar, one of the only sprung floors still. Like, but
Right.
it's, everybody has played there, everybody,
Right.
and they just killed it at 65 years old or 55 years old, and it doesn't matter. You can listen to Hardworking Man, and that whole album is, again, probably one of the best of its time. They kill it, and that's all I want to be. I just want to be that artist that you know what you're getting every single time you come and see me. I don't want to, you know, be shaboozy and forget my words to my own song when I'm up on stage, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be that guy. I don't, and you know, some of that's fun, but I'm gonna be honest, man. I have so much fun playing up on stage, that with the people when they're having a good time. When we played Nash Bar Thanksgiving weekend for the first time in my entire life, I looked to the right of the stage, and we're rocking, we're having a blast, and there was 20 people off to the side line dancing, and I was like, we're in the middle of Boston,
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving weekend, and I have 20 people line dancing on the right side of the stage, and like, they took over that area. They were moving people out of their way as more collected as the night went on. And
That's awesome.
I mean, to be able to say we're doing that up here is sick. It's twisted. It's awesome. You know, like, you don't get, and you've been to Nash Bar, and I love Nash Bar. It's such a cool spot. To do that in Boston is wild, man. And so many people don't understand that. I mean, they just don't. They don't understand that, like, that's a dying thing that's coming back super hard. But
Yeah.
like, you gotta want it. You gotta. There's no quit. If you're gonna learn how to line dance, like, you're gonna learn how to line dance. And for you to be able to do it without the instructor like teaching you what to do on stage, they just know what they're doing to the song. Hell yeah, man. That's what it's about.
That
Come out,
is.
leave your bullshit, and have some fucking fun.
Yeah.
Can't do it any more than that.
No, you can't. And like, you know, I am. This is gonna sound dickish, but I am very
Let it fly.
pleasantly surprised with the way this conversation has gone.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, dude.
You know, because it's like
I'm
you never
super
know.
happy.
Like for me, you never know. You never know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get. Like, I mean, I could kind of tell through our texts, but it's like, you know, it's like how long. You know, I could talk to you all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have we have way more to talk about, but I also gotta, you know,
Yeah.
keep the people wanting more, you know.
Yeah. No, for sure, dude. I
But
appreciate you having me on.
yeah, and we're gonna do this again. I think we have a lot more to talk about outside of this realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Let's meet up for a drink. Let's meet
yeah,
up for some coffee or
yeah.
beer or some whiskey.
We'll figure out something, because I think there's some things we can do that would be good.
That would be sick, dude. That would be sick. And like I said, you know, my biggest thing when I reached out to you, I was like, and it's funny. So like, I always feel bad when I say like I follow people, because I do. Like, when I sent that to you, I'm like, I follow you already, and you're like, okay. And then I go on my music page and I forget that I followed you for so long on my personal one, that then I'm like, I followed you for so long, and then all of a sudden it's like, Chris Gendron followed you. You're like, you're such a liar. Like, it's happened to me like 6 times where I've had to go back to them and be like, so just to be clear, like, if you go and look, there's 2 people with the same name that follow you. One's just private. So like,
Oh my
you know what I
god.
mean? So I like, it's one of those things, and it looks, you gotta have fun with it. And if you're not trying, you're not swinging, you're not, you know what I mean? Dude, you easily could have been like, yeah, okay, see you later, buddy. Have a good one. And it's happened. You know what I mean? But I'm super pumped that you
See, like,
were open to it.
you know, like, I can't do that because there's like, you know, I can't. not gonna lie.
You've had
There's
killers
been...
on your podcast that make it so like people like me that have the imposter syndrome that are afraid to reach out, like, and that's the thing is like you just gotta. Who cares if the person says no? If there's
Right.
someone watching this right now like that doesn't want to try it, dude, I literally wake up every day going, I'm not gonna send that email. I'm not gonna send that DM. I'm
And
not
you
gonna
know
do
what?
it. You gotta do it.
All right. I'm gonna be totally fucking honest with you here, right? When we were talking and all this stuff and I was like, well, he's only got one single. He's only and I say he's only, right, because I didn't
Yep.
know your story, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I was like, I don't know if I can. I don't. I don't know if it sounds so fucking stupid. I don't know if he's at that point yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I
And
felt the same way when I reached out.
you know, and I was like, and like, because I say it all the time, and I say it very publicly, and probably I shouldn't, but you know, I have a soft spot in my heart for the local scene. I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, and I hate saying this, but like, I'm at a point now where it's like, I can't give the local scene the love that I would love to give it, or the way it started, because that's how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but at the same time, that's how it was for Rogan too. You know what I mean?
Right.
He wasn't having astrophysicists on his podcast
Right.
in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, he still brings in the people that are working hard in his area, which is comedy and UFC.
Right.
He's bringing those people in, giving them a shot to just kind of see. And you can do that. And listen, you didn't need to take a shot on me. You didn't.
I'm glad
you had no reason to. And that's why I was like, look at man, like I wasn't gonna bug you, but it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I'll send him another message. And I'm like, hey man, I know you're busy. I know you're busy.
That's the thing, like you have to bug me. You have to.
Well, that's everybody that's busy in the industry. Like you constantly feel like a pain in the ass, but you have to be that person that's like, hey, and it's so hard on the other side. But dude, I'm super happy that you gave me a shot, and I appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to our conversations. Shoot me a text anytime too, man.
I feel like this is the start. This is the third gay thing I've done on this, but this is going to be the start of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm super agreeing. Just make sure you leave all your P Diddy quantities of baby oil at home. So
you don't know me. You don't know me.
No Amazon deliveries before we hang out. All right.
Yeah, I'll leave the baby oil at home. No big deal.
Perfect, brother. It was great talking to you, man. I know you got stuff to do. So
yeah, I actually gotta go, and so I bought a fiddle.
Sick.
And I don't know how to fucking tune it, put it together, any of that shit. So I'm going to the music. I gotta go to the music store today before they close, and before I keep forgetting.
Sick.
Because I want to learn. I want to learn how to play.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's sick, dude. That's sick. I have one, but I bought one, and I was like, I'm gonna make it left-handed, and then I duct taped the bow to my hand for like two different times to try it. And like I said, man, I don't like no. So I tried it. And I'm gonna be honest, I can't do it for shit. Like my body doesn't turn that way. Like it's just, I'm like, you know what? I play bass, I play guitar, I sing. I don't need to play fiddle.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I have this. I don't even know. I have this like Fender acoustic that I've like put all kinds of stickers on. I just tuned it. It sounds like shit. Like it probably needs new strings, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want to play guitar again.
Yeah.
I can't sing for shit.
Neither can I.
But like,
it's all auto-tune.
To be able to pick it up and play it, and whatever,
dude. Even if you sit there and hold it sometimes when you're watching TV, I do that often. Just kind of chilling, watching the game, and just have it sitting there with my hands. It's a comfort zone. Like it's one of those things, and you don't have to be listening to music. You don't have to be writing music. You can kind of just sit there with something that's musical, and whether it's a guitar pick, you know what I mean. Just sit there and play with it. Like there's things that can make it better. But hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. And you gotta send me your address. I'll send you a couple stickers to add to it.
All right, yeah, man. Yeah, because my Jeep has stickers all over it. So
hell yeah.
I always need more stickers.
Yep. No, for sure, man.
Cool, man.
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
and,
man. Anytime.
Shoot me a text, brother. We'll
Sounds good.
We'll definitely link up.
All right, Chris. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Our episode with Chris. Again, Chris, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, telling your story. I could talk to this kid literally all day, every day. And you know what? We were texting him and I back and forth for quite a while, and life got lifey and fucking ridiculous and stupid and whatnot. Yeah. So that kind of stopped, unfortunately. But Chris, we're gonna get back to that. And that's it, guys. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, Tuesday, Edwin McCain is here. You know Edwin McCain. I'll be, oh God, I'm blanking on his other big hit. Anyway, you know who Edwin McCain is. It's Sunday. Leave me alone. So yeah, so that's it, guys. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in again. Tuesday, Edwin McCain. Until then, keep those boots on the ground, the whiskey in the glass, guys. Be good to each other. Cheers.